Welcome to underEXPOSED, where we highlight some curios and overlooked gems of the recent past. 2005 was a hell of a year for cinema. Franchise revivals, old favourites at the top of their game, and a procession of indie darlings so vast it's worthy of this ridiculous montage. Oh, and this toilet somehow won Best Picture at the Oscars. Are you fucking kidding me? In amongst all this hullabaloo, some wonderful films fell through the cracks. Everything is Illuminated looked like a sure thing. A comedic drama based on a beloved novel, starring Elijah Wood, fresh off his Lord of the Rings, Eternal Sunshine and Sin City hot streak. Not to mention, this was the directorial debut of character actor Liev Schreiber. And nobody saw it. There's been no cult following, no re-evaluations, not even a Blu-ray release. For a film so haunted by legacy and the fear of forgetting, everything is Illuminated all but vanished by the year's end. At a glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking this is your boilerplate indie quirkfest. A dysfunctional road movie, divided into chapters, and shot through with bold aesthetic choices that breach the diegesis and practically scream, art student. So far so, every dramedy since Wes Anderson discovered pastel kitsch. That really isn't the case here though. This is a film steeped in Soviet-era rust and countrysides growing over gravesites, where colour is as much about complementing the narrative and thematic contrasts rather than something pleasing to print out and hang up in a dorm room. It exudes humour and heart.
I don't eat meat. Steak? No. Chickens? No.
In the shuddering wake of the Nazi liquidation of Jewish towns throughout Eastern Europe. Here, the long-standing tradition of Jewish American comedy and pathos are used to slowly peel away at over half a century of indescribable hurt. The semi-autobiographical story sees Jonathan, a compulsive collector of souvenirs from his own life, travelling Ukraine in search of the woman who saved his grandfather from the Holocaust. His chaperones through this alien land are translator Alex, a tracksuit sporting, broken English spouting windbag.
He's an expert at driving.
Alex's selectively blind grandfather, a weathered man plagued by seemingly anti-Semitic beliefs, and their canine companion, Sammy Davis Jr. Jr. The fish-out-of-water narrative here is used as a foundation for exploring literal and cultural displacement throughout a post-war, post-independence Ukraine. Each of the three central characters is adrift in their proverbial homeland, but far from where they want to be. As our mismatched ensemble drives through the idyllic backroads and concrete of eastern disrepair, both they and the audience are looking at tragedy from a distance, a windshield through which we observe the salted earth of suffering. This is the core of the film, the phantom pains of legacy. Jonathan collects and catalogues rather than actively remembering or processing. Alex negates his own national shame with deflecting humour and Americanized malaprops. Grandfather is blind to the world around him, willingly unaware until his eyes are forced open. Even Sammy Davis Jr. Jr., named for arguably the most famous Jewish American person of colour of the 20th century, is described as deranged. To borrow a broken phrase from our humble tour guide Alex, this is a film for those who pine for the opposite of loneliness. The lonesomeness of a life where our past can be forcibly corrupted, destroyed, or sealed away. Physical objects throughout the film are collected and preserved by both Jonathan and Lista, an old friend of Jonathan's grandfather who in turn lost her entire family during the war. The cataloguing and archiving of these totems of remembrance is not only an act of defiance, but a piece of geography. Where so many were killed and displaced, their towns erased from all but these mementos, we can never be allowed to forget. So long as these artifacts persist, so do their stories. One of the most commonly seen images throughout the film and its publicity is that of the sunflower. As of 2017, Ukraine was the world's largest producer of sunflowers, so it stands to reason they'd be prominent as an economic touchstone and famous export. More than that though, everything is Illuminated's symbolic use of sunflowers is much like the film itself. Life-affirming colour, grown atop earth stained with tragedy. In Simon Wiesenthal's book The Sunflower, the author recalls their use to denote the unmarked graves of those exterminated in the Lemberg concentration camp. Here, the land on which so much murder took place is lush with vibrant flowers. The dead will not be forgotten, nor will their deaths deny the beauty of their life. As Jonathan, Alex, and Grandfather are made aware, or in Grandfather's case, reminded of their shared historical wounds, the nagging aches recede, or at least become bearable. The colour palette of the film grows richer, and the early humour of the film dissolves with a solemn but respectful acceptance. If you haven't seen this film, I implore you to do so. You can buy it for pennies wherever you shop online, and it's really widely available. I'll leave you with this quote from Alex. "Everything is illuminated in the light of the past. It is always along the side of us, on the inside, looking out." Until next time, this is In Frame Out.